Joe Biden is continuing his visit to Poland today after vowing that the US and its allies will not waver in supporting Ukraine. The US president addressed crowds in the Polish capital last night, a day after his surprise visit to Kyiv, praising European allies for standing up to Russia and warning Vladimir Putin that NATO would not be divided. Well, it comes as Russian state media reports that China's top diplomat is expected to meet the Russian foreign minister in Moscow today, with Beijing saying it wants to work with other countries to achieve a ceasefire in Ukraine. Our chief correspondent Richard Gaisford is in Kyiv for us this morning with the very latest on all of this. And Richard, this week marks the anniversary of Russia's invasion, but it seems that a diplomatic solution isn't any closer, is it?
No, almost the whole country this morning under air raid alert. The Ukrainian government believes the only way to end this war is a victory for them. Joe Biden, in his speech, is seeing this very much as a test for NATO, one that he's unwilling to walk away from, and he's urging unity amongst Western partners to stand up to Russia for these crimes against humanity that are being committed by Russian forces. And not surprisingly, Vladimir Putin seeing it very differently, blaming the West for starting a war that forced him to invade Ukraine. The fact that Russia is walking away from a nuclear arms treaty is really worrying people here. No one's quite sure what's going to happen over the next few days. Children in schools here in Kyiv are being told to stay at home, parents being urged to keep them at home, not send them to school. We heard from the First Lady herself yesterday her concerns about the impact of the year-long war on children, and we've certainly seen that for ourselves. When the air raid sirens stop, children in this village south of Zaporizhzhia come out of their shelters to play. But their faces don't always tell of the toll being paid by those who've been living with conflict for a year. 12-year-old Glib suffering trauma from his experience of living under Russian occupation outside of Zaporizhzhia.
The child got really scared because it became very loud. People with weapons were all over the place. We needed to hide in the cellar. We were having food in the cellar, and he was afraid to even walk outside the door of our house or the cellar.
Glib's one of a growing list of young people being helped at this Save the Children funded project in Zaporizhzhia.
Well, basically, in these difficult times, the main issues would be all the stress disorders, anxiety disorders, lots of fears, and emotional reactions to the traumatic impact.
Across Ukraine, children are on the move, parents desperate to find safety for their offspring.
4 days ago, the bombing in Zaporizhzhia suddenly got much worse, so my 5-year-old son and I had to come here. If things improve, then we'll go back home. But if not, we'll have to stay here. There's no other option.
In Lviv, we meet a neurosurgeon and volunteers waiting to assist the refugees arriving from Zaporizhzhia. Dr. Yasser Al-Saidi has dedicated his life to helping those in need, and here there's plenty of them.
We actually get through a lot of patients, not all civilians. We got a lot of soldiers too, with amputated legs and hands, and we are trying to help them with both ways, psychologically and physically. So we are trying to keep them always, keep the hope.
Millions have run from the threat, and all too sadly, the trauma often stays with them wherever they go. Richard Gaisford, Good Morning Britain, Ukraine.